It's Wednesday night. We're back at No Remorph.
It is.
That always shocks me. So I get a little head tilt in there. I'm like, are we on? Are we off? But we're on. So welcome back to No Remorph, guys. Appreciate everyone coming out tonight. We have a little bit of a different format. We're shifting things up. We're trying to get a little bit more streamlined, trying to get things a little bit more digestible, whatever you want to call it. But we're going to cover some news in the hobby. We got a ton of different news in the hobby. That's all positive, by the way, which is a great feel. We need all of the things that we're about to bring up to happen. We need all of this stuff to continue on. I think this is what needs to outwardly project to people outside of the community to show what the community is actually like. So we're going to touch on that first. We're going to roll through some of the people in the chat and the audience. We're going to try and trim that down a little bit because we've noticed we're getting kind of long on that in a lot of our shows. We're going to hit a bunch of you guys. If we don't get down to you, I apologize, but trying to move things along and get the show a little bit more streamlined and a little bit more, like I say, digestible later. So still enjoyable, still the same garbage, still the same technical difficulties, that all that stuff's going to pop up. It's all going to happen, but we're going to do it in a little bit different way. So appreciate it. Maybe if you hate it, let us know that in the comments too, but let's get it going. First of all, we're going to start off with a little bit of a I don't want to say a project, but something going on that is definitely a community fundraiser. Deeds, not words. So I'm sure you've seen it. I'm sure you've seen it popping around. This is something with Chris Eaton and the Fat Man Nation. This is for veterans. This is veteran work. This gives these guys a different outlet from their daily stuff where they can escape a little bit. They get into a camp type scenario where they can hunt, fish, do outdoor stuff out of, their everyday life. And it's kind of catered to. It isn't something they have to work towards. They can put other things aside and just go enjoy themselves and be who they are. But part of this comes down to support. Other things are like different tiers of support in here. So one of the biggest ways, join the Fat Man Army. You'll be in a group with people like Justin Kabilka, Craig at Bash Coder, JT Tomlinson over at Reptichip. A lot of guys. If you hit that level, you donate $200 or so, you're going to get into a situation where you're going to get one of these Call of Duty drawings of yourself to put everywhere else on whatever you're doing. Use it as a little logo, whatever. Kind of an oddball little, I don't know what you want to call it, a perk or whatever, but know that it's all going to a much needed and a much, what do you want to call it? Much, well, needed is great, but a kind of overlooked space. Veterans, they need more support than we give them. So super important. If you have the will, if you have the means, go get a shirt, go get into that 200 tier and definitely support this. It's a great movement. So super happy to shout that out. If you can, definitely do it. Something else coming to our community that's really trying to prop up growth, bring new people in, free of charge. If you don't sign up for this and you are involved in the reptile community, I'm not sure why you would choose to do that. This is just all out there for you to use, but we're going to run a quick little promo for the Epic conference that's coming up. This is for new people, established people interested in coming in, all of the above. It's great material and it's put on completely free of charge. So absolutely no reason to not go. Get yourself signed up, log in and be part of this. This is going to be something going forward as a biannual, I believe. I think they're going to do it twice a year. So check it out.
It's called Epic, the Exotic Pet Industry Conference, and it's free to register at epic.live. Epic is over 20 special guests across 16 sessions covering industry trends, marketing, branding, podcasting, and YouTube. Epic is for pet keepers and breeders. It's for gecko and invert lovers. It's for snake and spider lovers. Epic is for anyone who enjoys these amazing animals. Did I mention it's free? Register now at epic.live.
Such a cool idea.
Awesome. Yeah.
Oh, it's a badass idea. So you got 16 different things, presenters all doing it kind of adjacently. So things are happening. You sign up for what you want to jump in, and you just go and you attend, and you're going to get great information from industry leaders. I mean, we're talking about people all the way up in management of Chewy. Like Chewy is enormous, and if that starts to envelop what we're doing in the reptile side, we're going to move from that 4% up to the 10%, 12%, 18% of the population now considers a reptile a legit pet. And it's going to get to be everyone benefiting from that. So if we don't do it, I think we're really missing out. It's just super important. And so go register, jump in the ones that sound interesting to you. Tons of great information in there and great people putting it on. So that's part of the news for the week. We got another bit of news, but comes from the show right before us. Tiki's, the Whiskey Bomb Nation that's coming up. Network, they're going to say, not nation. That's my bad. But important. T's out there always doing benefits, auctions, raffles. We can't say raffles, waffles, whatever you want to call them, where animals are going out, people are donating, you're getting merch packs, you're getting credit to certain people for their animals, you're getting all kinds of different incentives to spend money, but this is for a reason. I don't know if everybody's aware, but they had a car accident. They lost their main mode of transit, and nobody can do anything this day and age without some kind of a vehicle. That's a huge out of pocket. That's unexpected. So this weekend, the second, actually at 4 p.m., according to this here, on what would normally be the Sunday Snaketuary segment for Whiskey Bomb, they're going to do this auction. Jump in there. We're going to donate a couple different things to this. Tons of different other big names and people in there. Great animals, great merch packs, different stuff that a person could get a hold of and know, again, it's going to a great place. It's going to T and the family over there, Keisha. Get them on their feet, get a mode of transit, kind of secured and get back to a normal life and doing what they do so well for everybody else. They've done it 10, 15 different times alone in the last couple of years that we've been part of. It's time to kind of give back to the people that have already given. They've paid it forward, so help them out, Super important. If you can, awesome. Show up, do your thing. If you want to benefit and you want to throw something in there for this, get a hold of Wiz over at Wiz Constrictors. He will put you in there, get your stuff listed, and you can be part of that too. So hopefully we can get that happening for him. And another one that I don't have a graphic for, but I do want to make people aware of, DDM Reptiles. They had a fire where they lived, lost their housing, lost, sadly, a bunch of their animals as well. Had to do that obviously as quick as they could, get things out of there, get the animals to a safe place, get their family out to a safe place. We did house some of those. We still have some of their animals here. We just kind of got them to the side. We're just feeding them, taken care of. They've secured housing now, but they are still looking for donations. They're looking for help. If you have a means to do that, reach out to us if you need to. Go ahead and hit us up on Instagram, on Discord, whatever. We can forward over all the contact information for them. But they found a place. They're kind of moving towards getting in there. I believe on the 1st, they're going to start that process. So trying to get back on their feet. But again, anything that can help these people out in times like that is fantastic. So if you can, do it, guys. That's what this community is supposed to be about. So we want to be more about it too. And on that note, with all the news out of the way and the different things, who the heck's out in the chat?
Who's here?
Who's here tonight? Jay?
All right. We got Morph Avenue. That's Mike Duvall. Thanks for coming out, Mike.
Good to see you, Mike.
I'm gonna move through them. Sammy Vargas, how you doing, buddy? Thanks for coming out.
2%. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. Corey, Dustin.
Tell Corey hi.
Having a ball. Thanks for coming out, bud.
Definitely appreciate Josh. Yeah. 100%.
Brave Adventure. Showing up again. Thank you, sir.
Soon to be guest in Brave,
Yeah.
hopefully.
There's Mom. Thanks for coming out, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. Ella, good friend of the family. Thanks for coming out, Ella. There's Dad, Tim. Thanks for coming out, Dad.
3 J's, triple J's.
Triple J.
Shauna.
Shauna.
Try it, Shauna.
Oh, God.
Shauna,
No,
Shauna.
I have to be on this side, dude. Oh.
Mr. Opelt. Still owe that guy a song. Thanks for coming out, Jason. Appreciate it.
Oh, what time is it?
Uh-oh. Don D
Man.
in the house.
Every time.
It's so fun. No pause, Pappy.
Right? Fries Critters. Thanks for coming out.
From down under.
Chris, good to see you.
Good day. Jane S. James, thanks for coming out.
Silent assassin.
Yeah. He is silent, too.
Yeah. And All City James, thanks for coming out.
The James brothers got to make that like a Blues Brothers show.
Right. Bald Headed Balls, Jeff, thanks for coming out.
Yeah, I understand he played power forward in the NBA. I heard on the last show he's like 6'8" or something. Huge dude, Jeff.
And there's Nikki Irresistibles, one of the main characters in Epic here that we're excited to see. Thanks for coming out, Nikki.
Throw that hard up there.
Oh, Chris.
Gentlemen,
Fat
lady.
Nation. Thanks for coming out, Chris.
Lady. I think I'm the lady.
Oh,
Yeah,
maybe.
Lady.
Look, we got a double dipper.
Oh, the double dipper.
Uh-oh.
Miguel. Thanks for joining us tonight, Miguel.
He'll be out here
MB.
just shortly.
Matt, thanks for coming out. Yo.
Good to see you, Matt.
121 Mutations. Thanks for coming out. Big D's, Pythons, and Geckos. Hey.
Soon to be guest. He's coming up soon.
Yeah.
Mark, the Rat Bastard Royals. Thanks for coming out.
Right? I love that name, man. Rat Bastard. That's so good.
Yeah.
It is so good. I laughed so hard first time I saw it, man. B-Lock. Thanks for coming out.
What's good?
We got
What's good, Brian?
Proxima, Mike and Melissa. Thanks for coming out. Amy, Rising Phoenix Reptiles. Thanks for coming out, Jamie.
Trying to get
Jamie
into
and
some
Miguel.
animals.
That was my whole conversation of the night. I think we talked for hours down in Daytona between the three of us. But
Oh, yeah.
Python Portal, Will, thanks for coming out.
Wow.
And Mitzi was up there. Mitzi.
I got fumble fingers.
Thanks for coming out, Mitzi.
That's funny. All right, that brings us to the end.
Sweet.
All right.
So
let's,
this kicks us
hear from
into
our
another
fiddle.
segment.
A
Yeah,
segment?
it's good. It's
It's not really a segment.
It is a segment because I'm going to make it a segment because I know this is
Okay.
going to put you on the spot. So Jamie
gosh.
is going to do this part that I normally do, but I'm normally hoarse by now. So Jamie,
Yeah.
what's going on? What do
What's
we
going
have with
on?
ForgeCoin affiliates and stuff? What's
Forge
happening with
Coin.
that? Yeah.
Oh, ForgeCoin. You all know how to get ForgeCoin. You watch our show. At the end of the show, we put $10 ForgeCoin. And the winner, the first person to get the correct answer in the comments wins $10. It's just like cash, and all of our friends here accept it as such. So we have Carl and Jamie at Graceful Pythons. They do 3D printing. They'll be happy to accept ForgeCoin. Shed testing, we have Charlie. For all your genetic testing, he will accept it. Angel Caro, also doing the 3D printing. Chris at BNS, he will accept it for anything he's got. Coco, he's got the chipper, snakes, whatever you want. Greg and TJ at Rippin' Reptiles, whatever you can find over there, they'll be happy to accept it. Vinnie with Bone Daddy, he does the, what is it, John? Engraving.
Laser
The cutting
engraving,
board.
yeah.
Laser
Cutting boards and
engraving.
stuff. I know lasers
I
always
just wanna
confuse
say
you.
cutting
Something
boards.
about lasers confuses you. It's all good.
I
Yeah.
know, it's goofy. Dylan, he is the newest affiliate who will accept Forgecoin for whatever he's got for sale over there. Josh at Having a Ball. Holly at Texoma Exotics, she will accept it. She does some graphic design too. She makes logos, so if you're interested in that, that's an option for her. John over at Mission Morphs will accept it for whatever he's got available, and Rich at Capital City. So all of these people, you can use your Forgecoin. If you bank it up, just let us know you're going to use it with them, and we'll make sure that it gets to the right place.
Heck yeah.
Anything you
Good
wanna
job,
add?
Jamie.
Thanks.
No, I mean that's all. It kind of covers it all. But yeah, don't hold on to that Forgecoin, guys. You can spend it
Yeah.
all different directions. And Jason, you need to stay connected. Goddammit. If we go into a segment
Have
where
you
we need
seen
Jason,
Have you
Yeah.
seen that? It's crazy. I keep going.
yeah,
off
you
here.
keep dipping out. But stay here. Stay with us.
Yeah, stay
So
with us.
We're gonna keep moving on.
All right,
We've
I'll
got
try to grab onto something.
yeah, hold on tight.
Here, hold on. No, we
Yeah.
keep track of the Forgecoin. So we post it on our Discord. If you're not part of our Discord and you want to be, send us an Instagram message. We'll make sure you get the link to that. There's no strings attached. Just come hang out. If you want it posted anywhere else, let us know. I can certainly post it other places too, but for now it's just on our Discord.
Can you put it on our bathroom wall?
Yeah.
Yeah. When I'm
It'll have
peeing,
so
I can
many
check on the
lines
Forgecoin holders.
across every week.
Right? No. But anyways, yeah, it's a good deal, and we're gonna put out a lot more ways to get that too, guys, and that's including like some sponsorship. You can see our sponsors floating around the different things. We're gonna draw on that to kind of add into the Forgecoin pot. So that is going to be growing fast. I think there's like over $700 in there now total. So it's getting to be a fair amount of money where people can spend this different directions and put it out there through the community to the people you want to spend it with. So
For sure.
definitely do that. Good job, Jamie. We're going to
Yeah.
jump in, do Chris
Thanks.
real quick. Chris, he's slacking. He's sending us a snake tomorrow, but that's all right. We'll let him off the hook. But we need commercial materials, Chris. Send them over so we can do you a proper commercial. Got Chris with his little blue-eyed, bright-faced baby there, cute as shit.
So
But he does
cute.
Coco2go, does the chipper, and he's got a wild variety of animals that he handles over there. So if, colubrids, I mean, everything under the sun that a sane person would want to keep in their home, he probably has it. Awesome guy besides. So one of the sponsors, appreciate you, Chris, 100%. And that covers it pretty much, guys. We're going to hit the Charlie commercial, and we will be right back with Miggy. And Miggy's got stuff to tell us. I know he does. He's sitting back there dancing. Well, not quite dancing, but he's ready to go, and we are too. So hang in there, guys. We'll be right back with Miggy. All right. See you in just, what is the old thing? 2 and 2? The Chuck Woolery? Yeah, whatever.
2 and 2.
All right, so that's Charlie Shed Testing.
back.
If you need stuff done, you need to check out your collection. You need to shed light on your collection. That is the place to do it, and it's reasonable. Also mention that we sent you. There could be some benefits in that. So
Me too.
he'd like to see Miggy's dance moves. We just might do that. But first, we got to send Jamie backstage. If you have
Bye.
questions specifically for Miggy through this, Jamie will try to filter those up there. We will try to get to those as best we can. We always try, but it's difficult. We don't want to interrupt people and all of that good stuff. So let's get Miggy out here, shall we? Should we do that thing? All right, Jamie, good luck back there.
Okay, bye.
Miggy, you ready?
Good to go.
All right. Thumbs up.
There
Good
it
to go.
is.
Miggy,
What's up, guys?
good to see you again.
Happy hump day. I'm sorry the chat missed the robot that I just did. I thought it was pretty good, but
It was good. It was good. If they could only seen backstage, right?
Yeah. Well, Jamie snipped it. She'll put it up on the hot seat clip later so people can, if they want to see it, they're going to have to tune into that. Let's put it that way. How are you doing
I felt
tonight,
like I
sir?
was doing Max Headroom earlier.
doing great tonight. The Morphforge coins that you guys, the affiliates you guys got in there, you guys have some strong names. So if folks aren't a part of that, I strongly recommend you guys jump on that so you guys can spend your money where it counts. But
Yeah.
doing great tonight. I've had a semi-rough week. Our dogs got sprayed on Monday this week, so we've been dealing with a bunch of skunk smell all throughout the house this week. But other than that, just continuing to do what we do, breeding rats and trying to breed snakes. So we're going through it. How about y'all?
Doing good. And holy man, not the skunks. That is the worst case scenario. So
It
bad.
is for sure. I tangled with one too, but not nearly as bad. Once the dogs get into it, I mean, the dogs get it full force, and then you're stuck with that stink. I mean, it's there for weeks, no matter what you do. There are some little tricks to try to cut it down, but it's still going to hang around. But
I mean, it's been a couple days now, so it's kind of funny talking about it. But every time the dog walks by, like the dog just pulled up right in front of me, and she got sprayed in the face. So it's like she walked by, and I just caught a whiff. I was like, oh.
And you know what? So it starts to wear down, right? And you think, oh, we're doing okay, and then get the dog wet and see what happens. It's like it comes back full force, man. Rejuvenates that crap.
Yeah, it's potent for sure. So a good chunk of our audience knows you, Miggy. We met you in Daytona. First occurrence of meeting you. We talked in chats. I saw you in different lives and things like that. Kind of exchanged some pleasantries, whatever. But to actually get to hang out with you was completely a different experience, dude. I was dying from moment one, in tears, laughing, just had a blast, right? But for the people that don't know you out there, give us your spiel. Tell us who you are, how you started into this, where you're at, kind of just a basic background for Miggy's Morphs.
Sure. So, I mean, for the folks that don't know me, my name's Miguel. So a lot of the time we make fun that I'm the other Miguel in the industry because we've already got a Titan named Miguel. I go by Miggy or Miguel, either one, doesn't matter. But honestly, just about everyone else, started loving reptiles when I was a kid. I think it was 7th grade when I actually got to be hands-on with reptiles. One of my science teachers actually had a California king, a bearded dragon, and a cool saltwater tank in the back, and I was just super fascinated and wanted to help out. So, lunchtime, extra time after school, I'd be in there trying to hold the Cali king snake that he had, trying to clean the enclosures, just get accustomed with it. And I'm Hispanic,
He was
so
teacher on campus, right?
yeah. So he was a middle school biology teacher, so it kind of made sense why he had reptiles in the classroom. But I'm Hispanic, so a lot of the time there's misconceptions with snakes and in the family because they come from Mexico, so most of the time they're like snakes are the devil. So I was never allowed.
Yeah, sure.
So until I got a little older, I was about 16, 17, got a little rebellious and went to the local pet shop and actually snuck one into the house. And then had that for like 6 months, and Dad found out. He's all like, "You got to get rid of this." Like he was definitely afraid. He found out there was a snake in the room, wouldn't even come inside. So
Yeah.
just the mix of being super fascinated from a young age and getting hands-on experience young and not being able to have them, to then moving out, it just exploded from there. Because when you're restricted to not have something, and you're finally making grown-up money, you just go buck wild. So in a short period of time, I went from one to the first year I had snake ball pythons, I got up to 22. So it was a quick jump, and that was
Wow.
in 2016. So, and then it kept relatively small because I had to make moves across the country for work. And then when I got back, I really wanted to do it. That's about the time I saw dreamsicles, and I was like, I got to make these. So as soon as I saw those, I started building up the collection again, and we're here working a lot of lavender and continuing strong with the project. So actually got some really exciting lavender clutches that should
Nice.
be hitting the ground this season. So
Nice.
Lavender's
that's a little bit
awesome.
about me.
Yeah.
And that's perfect, and that's what people kind of need to know. Where's the origin story come in, and like how does that go through the first couple stages, but where you just kind of baseline sitting, right? But instantly, you got to touch on 2016. I think you mentioned
Yep.
that's a while in this. So, and this is just like your build stage where you go from like none to 22, right?
It wasn't even necessarily a build stage. I would say I was still a hobbyist at the time, so
Okay.
I was just enamored with the animals. And so it just like everyone else does, you go out, you see a beautiful snake, you're like, oh, that's an all white snake, I need that in the collection. Oh, that's a pied, I need that in the collection. Like I was out there collecting Pokemon. Like I had
Gotcha.
no clue what genetics were. I was like
Yeah.
seeing cool snakes. Like I saw the dreamsicles, and I think at the time they were like $10,000. So no way in heck I was gonna drop $10,000 on a snake at the time. But I was
Yeah.
I was so uh, it's the first morph I fell in love with, the combo morph I fell in love with. And so I kind of had an idea of what you had to do to breed them together, but there was no plan to jump in and breed these things. Like I said, I was collecting all sorts of different combos that
It's
wouldn't even make dreamsicles. So,
It's a
right.
perfect analogy. It is just like collecting Pokemon. I mean, it's
yeah.
the same whole drive and everything for it. Got to get the coolest ones, man.
And so I think at the time, it it went from I wasn't really doing it to breed. I was doing it for the excitement and how pretty the animals were. And then slowly, as I started collecting more and more, I was all like, oh, I can actually make combos that I would like, and started watching a lot of the early Justin Kabelka videos because he wasn't Canova yet at the time, and learning, oh, you can put this and this together, and really diving into genetics and buying hets, and then started doing it that way. But still in 2016, I wasn't picking up pieces to breed together. I would say the real desire to start breeding happened in 2020. So that was after I had moved cross country and back. During that cross country move, out of those initial 22, I had lost about 12 because I had moved from California to Rhode Island for work. And so it was a stressful time for the snakes. They moved cross country. It's real difficult to manage that.
Wow.
I think I had overpacked the container a little bit and had lost some of the animals that way. So once I got back to California, that's when I really knew I wanted to breed and try to see if I can make this a hobby that would pay for itself, essentially.
Gotcha.
Sure.
It makes
How long
complete
were you
sense.
out
So,
east?
I was out in Rhode Island for a year and a half.
Okay.
So
Wow.
I got a tech sales job. I got a really good offer to work for. It was a healthcare company that was starting up. They did tobacco, alcohol, and opioid cessation. So it was a really good opportunity and helped propel my career in the tech industry. So
Sure.
I,
Yeah,
I,
tough to move in that short a period of time, there and back. 2 moves
yeah,
in
and
18 months,
especially
basically.
I'm really happy I wasn't a breeder yet, because listening to everyone's stories when say they move the collection down the block, their
Yeah,
season most of the time is just
just
non-existent.
screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So imagine being a breeder, moving across the country, trying to breed that season. That season's done. And then
Yeah.
having to move back within a year and a half. That's almost 2 seasons done. So I would have been
Yeah.
without production for almost 2 years in a row. And if I had been investing at that point, it would have been real hard to keep it going with feeding animals for 2 years without seeing production
Yeah.
and seeing
Yeah.
awesome baby animals pop out of the egg. Because to be honest, that is the craziest feeling, is seeing baby animals
It
pop
is.
out. It's
Yeah.
what you keep going for. It's like, oh, and at some points I'm just a degenerate gambler. So you're putting these pairings together and
What are the
and
odds? Yeah, good enough. Yeah, no, I hear you, man.
just spending time on Morph Market Calculator. Oh, I got a 1 in 1,000, 226% chance at 200% chance at hitting this combo. I'll hit it. I got this, no problem. I'll hit 3 of them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so that it's a
The
crazy
degenerate gambler. That is never a tag I would have put on you or anyone else, for that
No,
matter.
for sure
But that
not.
is comical.
I
'Cause
mean,
I think-
to be honest, to be a reptile breeder dealing with genetics, you kind of have to be a gambler in a sense.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that, 100%. It's just such a funny way to say it. So, okay, the first several years you got from this 1 to 22 just on like and stuff. Like, I need to have one of those. This is gorgeous. I need one. And you weren't even thinking about like breeding and moving this forward. So, talk about that, like that transition. You moved twice, obviously, but you decide now I'm going to breed and I'm going to look into the genetics. What was that time frame like? Was it a really short period, or did you kind of dive in for a month and now I'm like buying purposefully? How did that work for you?
So it was a little bit of both. So 2020 was when I was back in California and really decided that I wanted to do it, like actually start breeding. And so I bought babies, and like I said, I was in love with the dreamsicle. So I did some research, figured out that I needed to have at least double heads to pair together to try to hit a dreamsicle. And so I picked up babies that were double head for dreamsicle at the time. And then down the road, as I was growing them up, I got a little impatient and started picking up adults just to see if it was something that I wanted to do. So my first clutch was a banana inchy spider to a leopard, just to see if it was something I could do. So it was I didn't have the patience to wait those 2 years for them to grow up, and I wanted
To find out it didn't work or whatever. Yeah, gotcha.
absolutely. So I picked up pieces that I'm still using today, and I also picked up ingredients that have no business being in the collection. So it was a mixed bag of wanting to rush into it and still wanting to produce project animals that I wanted to keep down the road, if that makes sense. So,
Sure. Yeah.
and I've still got some of those ingredients that shouldn't be in the collection. It's just so hard letting your first animals go. And so,
Right.
yeah. But it really took a shift. So the first clutch I had was in 22. It was that banana inchy spider to a leopard female. And then from there, I had the ingredients that I picked up originally as babies. They were ready to go. So I had 7 the next year in 23. So that was a fairly quick jump and an increase in baby size. And then the year after that, I did 16. So it's kind of gone on a trajectory to where it's doubled every year. And
Right.
with 16 last year, it felt a little overwhelming, but very exciting. And this year, it seems to be doubling again. I've got 39 girls over 10 millimeters. So
Okay.
and it's just great. Like, I'm over here over analyzing how many babies I'm gonna have if all those 30 girls weigh. And I was listening back to Garrick DeMeyer's
Yeah. I was
guys
just gonna
did.
say that.
He was
Yep.
doing 400.
Yeah, can you
Right.
imagine? It gives you a real respect for that, right? Like until you get into the double digits and all of a sudden you're like, wow, this is I'm starting to feel a little bit of stress from this now. You think about these guys doing 100, 200, 300.
Yeah.
It's a
So
lot. It's a lot.
and obviously with that number comes a much larger facility, but I'm doing it
Yeah.
out of the house. So I've got the rodents in the garage, and I've got the snakes in a spare bedroom. At this point, if 40 happens, I'm gonna have to take over a second bedroom. So it'll just be
Jeez.
baby racks in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 40's a lot. I mean, we did a very similar progression. Like as you're saying these clutch numbers, I'm going, okay, yep, it's right on line until you said 40, and then we're like, somewhere in that 18 range. We're like, I don't know if we want to go that step yet. Number one, we don't have the pairings. We have things that are out there kind of spread out. So when you look at a number of like 30, 40 clutches, are these all within the same program, or what does the diversity look like on your side? Because I mean, I know you're in the lab stuff, you're in the Dreamsicle projects, but I don't really know that much about your base collection. So how wide does that go?
So the main focus of the collection is definitely the lavender stuff. So this year it won't be a very heavy dreamsicle year. I'll have one or two pairings just so I can hit I really want to hit an OD Enchi yellow belly dreamsicle because they're gorgeous.
Yep.
So I've got two or three pairings for that, and then it's gonna be a lot of lavender clown stuff this year. Like I've got an OD spot nose red stripe clown het lav boy, and he'll be running to a black pastel yellow belly triple het lavender clown pied girl. So with that, I'll have a shot at lavender Pompeys if
Yeah.
we're lucky with the odds. And I've never seen a lavender Pompeii. I don't know of many people working that direction. So
No,
I'm
that'd
really
be
excited about that
crazy.
one. I'm working. I've also got that same boy going to a leopard bongo female. Just just bongo clowns are absolutely gorgeous. So
Yeah.
getting all those genes together, I can only imagine what that looks like in a clown. So a lot of the collection is focused on doubles and triples, and after those pairings, I've got some pairings for the hypo clown. What is it? DG hypo clown. Excuse me. I've got a couple pairings for DG puzzle this year. I've got um, I actually have a pastel DG double het clown pied girl that just ovulated. She ovulated today. So I've got 1 in 16 shot with her to hit the DG clown pied. Hopefully no pastel. Fingers crossed. But but
You
I
see,
mean
we see that a lot. Yeah. Hopefully no pastel, but
I mean in that project pastel works really well because DG it's
With
such an
DG, yeah.
amazing gene in DG that
Yeah.
it I you see a lot of people pull away from pastel, and people say it's real hard to sell animals with pastel. But as long as it's not pastel clown, you're you're seeing a lot of really nice combos. So
We
you
lost him.
I think he had a little coughing fit, but I
Yeah.
I'm not like pastel works fantastic in lavender. It works
Yeah.
fantastic
Yep.
in puzzle. It works
Yep.
fantastic in DG. Like so,
Yeah.
a lot of these animals that are. I personally don't have a lot of pastel in the collection, just because people are hesitant to pick up animals that do have pastel. But
Yeah.
in some of these projects that you start stacking pastel into, like DG Exanthic Clown, you'd want pastel because it would clean it up so much. So
Yep. Yep.
there's
And
just
when you look at pastel babies, they're beautiful. The problem with pastel is it all just turns to junk, right? And if you get some of the preservation genes in there, some of those brighteners or ones that kind of block that brown out, man, pastels are great. It does some cool stuff with the pattern, and it's actually very pretty until it starts to fade. So, yeah, I agree with you, 100%.
so, but I'm very excited about the season. Like, there's there so the I would say the first priority is the lavender, and
Mhm.
really trying to work towards the lavender clown pied stuff. I've got
Yeah.
multiple pairings for that project, and then it'll be the subsection. So the dreamsicle stuff, the lavender clown stuff, and then the DG clown pied. I have I hit some really pretty um, pieds this last season that were double het DG clown, and with this
Oh,
ovulation, I'm really
nice.
hoping to hit some at least a triple female, if not a triple male, to throw back to those females I hit. So
Yeah.
it it the collection is starting to get diversified. So when I got in, a lot of the advice was just to dive deep instead of going wide, because if you dive deep and
Yep.
are and become known for a project that you're in love with, which I am with the lavender stuff, it it,
Hmm.
it even the misses in the lavender project that I have, I'll be more than happy to take those animals and vend with them at shows, because you have someone new coming in, they walk by
Yeah.
your table. What is that? You have a yellow orange snake on the table. You have pieds on the table. Of course, the new person coming in is going to be drawn to the visually appealing animals, as opposed to,
Yeah.
I think we were talking backstage, the normal quintet. Obviously, the quintet to us is far more powerful, and we're like, oh my god, you put a quintet to quintet, you're what, 1 in 4 for the double, one in
Right.
16 for
Yeah.
the triple or whatever. So to us, that normal quintet is amazing, but for someone
Yeah.
new coming in, they're gonna want the visually appealing animals, and this industry
Yeah.
doesn't keep growing if we're not able to bring new people in.
Yeah. What do you
Absolutely.
think about that advice? Do you agree with it that the deep dive is the way to go? Because I think I see benefits to both, right? So there's some risk with deep dive, because if you limit what you have, you're limiting some possibilities there, and you're really kind of following something down the rabbit hole. And we've seen this happen with certain genes, some genes just all of a sudden start to fall off, and you're neck deep in this project. It limits kind of where you can go, or at least it really puts a restraint on the time of you getting somewhere else. Where if you've got a little bit broader selection, it allows you to kind of shift and follow markets. You know what I mean?
I I would agree, and I would, if I were to do it again, I would do it the same way. I would pick a project that you really like and deep
Okay.
dive with it, because I feel like the first 3 years in the industry, realistically, even with all the research you do, watching videos, until you're
Mm-hmm.
in the industry and actually breeding animals and talking to folks in the industry, you have no idea what you're doing. I still have no idea what
Yeah.
I'm doing, and this is my fourth breeding season. Like,
Right.
so the fact that you're diving deep into a project, and hopefully you're being creative about it. It's not just following a
Mm-hmm.
path to, like, you want to hit a Pompeii. It's cool you could hit a Pompeii, but if you just put a twist on it and then continue to dive deep on that project, by the time you're 4 or 5 years breeding into that project, you'll it won't really matter if a project has tanked in value, because your babies that you produce from those original pairings will be babies that you produce. So your cost on those animals is next to zero, especially if
Yeah,
you're
that's
your
true.
own rodents. So you won't
Yep.
you won't really be concerned about, oh, this project is $500. Well, yeah, I created the babies that made these babies, and now you're in the green because you spent so much time working with these animals. Because you spend that money to
Yeah.
get the animals initially, and by the time you're breeding babies of babies, those animals have cost you next to nothing. You're just you have that those holdback costs, and hopefully each year your pairings get better and better, and you're taking your project in a direction, and you're taking ideas from other projects and diving that way. And once you've gotten to a
Yeah.
point where you feel comfortable, and if you have the space to do it, I think then is the time that you should diversify.
Start to branch. Sure. Makes sense.
Yeah. And it's a learning process too, right? Like how comfortable are you with pairing, with getting babies to eat, with making sure all your females and males go beyond just that breeding year and they regrow, they gain their weight back, they start to eat again. All of those ins and outs of like the yearly maintenance of something takes a year or two just to feel like that has a firm grasp, where it's not a question mark. Like, man, is this male going to start eating again? Is he ever going to breed for me again? You know what I mean? So you're not wrong in saying, hey, if I narrow out my focus and I get this down to where I know what I intend to do, I can do with 100% certainty, then you move on to expand your horizons, get things a little wider, bring in different projects. You've got the system at that point, right?
Yep.
And you're not spread out there so thin that nothing you produce is haphazard or unwanted. It's still in a very distinct line that people are going to either want or they won't. So that is the risk I think Jason was getting at. It's like if you go into this rabbit hole, it's a they either want it or they don't scenario. But that's true of anything, actually. So it
And
doesn't
I
really
think it
change, right?
I think it comes down to, if you dive deep into a project, you become known for that. And so when someone it does become time that someone wants it, they're like, "Oh, who would have that?" And
That's
then
the guy.
you're top of mind, and
Yep.
they reach out to you. And if you don't have that, you can point them in the right direction if you
Right.
know who has it. And so having that, and then being recognized for that project, I feel like it is a lot more beneficial in the long run for your business, because then when you start branching out, you can it, it you'll be known for that project. You start branching out, you're diversified, and you have a solid portfolio of animals, and you start producing stuff. Your name is known, and then not only that, we see it all the time. We constantly see upswings and downswings in different
Yeah.
genes. Like most recently, hypo you couldn't get rid of, and all
Right.
of a sudden it's making a resurgence.
Yeah.
So it I I'm gonna continue going deep into a path, because you can always pivot from that. So like lavender was the main focus in the beginning, and it has evolved to be lavender clown pie, because I've been able to bring in other ingredients to do that. And then at the end of this year, I'd like to bring puzzle into lavender. So your ability to pivot down that road isn't eliminated, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah. Yep.
So
It is. Yep. Yeah. And I think it becomes a bigger issue I think this is getting to be a little weird in the market too. People are coming to the realization of supers and recessives are the same thing. It's literally the same difficulty. It's the same process. Everything about a super and a codom and a recessive plays out the same. The tough part is you can't go back and go into doubles and triples of either
Yeah.
without a stock there. So you can't go with a 6 gene codom and then jump into a double recessive. You start from ground zero because you're bringing a brand new recessive in
Mhm.
that you have to transfer all of these codoms into. You can't just make, you know what I mean? And that takes a little bit of, I don't know what you want to say, but like a learning curve for people to realize that you better be building these pivots that people talk about way ahead, because you're not simply going to produce a puzzle from your lavender project. You're just not. You're not going to carry over any of those codoms. It's going to have to work its way over there slowly. And that's the same amount of time you deep dove on your project, basically. Do you know what I mean?
absolutely.
It's, yeah,
The
it's a tough deal. But
the I will say, depending on how deep you've gone into that rabbit hole of working your project deep, I feel the easier it is. Say you hit a triple visual in the project that you're working. It's a lot easier to work in the codoms if you have a triple visual male.
Oh yeah.
oh, absolutely.
So
Sure.
if you deep dive into a project and you have the visual animals, it becomes a lot easier to make that pivot.
To step backward. Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
So in your projects, we talked about Lav, talked about Clown, you talked about Pied, so we're like Holy Grail style animal here. Puzzle, now you're talking about putting Lav into, which I have not seen, which would be super interesting, I think.
Mm-hmm.
What's some other stuff you're doing, ball python specific? Like, where does your brain go, or what do you feel like 25 is going to kind of open for you?
Exactly what you said, and backtracking. I mentioned it on another
Okay.
podcast. I ran into that same issue you did. Is I worked the triple so heavily that I put codoms to the wayside. So by I'm taking a step back essentially and trying to get codoms into the doubles, like with the lavender Pompeii stuff, the bongo leopard, spot nose, lavender clown stuff, to rework into the triples to make it really really cool. So uh, if you could do it and do it right, I would start off with the gene packed, either double visual females or triple, or not double visual, double het females or triple het females. That way
Yeah.
you work the projects that way. So, but besides lavender stuff, DG Clown Pride stuff. So
Okay.
I've worked the way I see it is they're trees. So a lot of the doubles can be interchanged. So instead of having lavender in
Mm-hmm.
that project, I've got DG. So I've got double girls that can be interchanged within the project. So just adding a different spin, because I like the color changing stuff and the real orange stuff. So DG in that, it just makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
I was just, yep.
Yeah, and you also allow yourself, like, kind of like you were saying, it allows you to branch off. So if you want to go away from the clown pied combo and go pied or go clown, you've got the DG in there. You can kind of branch off that direction. Yeah, that's actually something that I'm looking at too. On my side of the deal is getting kind of more of the DG clown pied combo stuff and building into that, because it does allow you to go a couple directions. And I think clown's going to be something that's just going to be around forever, and people are always going to want. There's always going to be some kind of demand for it. Same thing with the pied. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer that way, I believe. But yeah, definitely a good option to start with, at least to start building with, I think. But
No, absolutely. And then another thing that we don't talk about is we're talking about diving deep into these projects, but every year you should be bringing in powerful animals that if you see on the market that you can't make yourself, you should be picking those up.
yeah,
If you have the means to pick them up, it shouldn't just be your
you
hobby.
you
It,
have
it-
to.
yeah,
Yeah,
it
really
should
do.
be other animals to keep the stock fresh, like that, and working genes not only that you like, but you see potential down the road. Like there's an infinite possibilities on combinations, and so one person may think gravel is the bee's knees, another person may think spark is. So
Right.
you that and that's just in the yellow belly complex. So to make the same animal, to make a Pompeii with spark is a 2-3 year process if you don't have the building blocks to do that. So
Oh,
uh,
absolutely. At least, right? I mean,
yeah,
at
Yeah,
least 2-3 years.
and those are genes in the same complex. So you can put twists on things, and it might be beneficial that you go a yellow belly complex gene. That way you can work the super like you said, and then it essentially becomes a double visual when you get the super in there, like
Right.
yeah,
super asphalt, super gravel, super specter. They all have phenomenal supers, and so
Beautiful. Yep.
and I
Well,
go ahead.
and it leads into the next question, the allelics, which it gets even crazier yet. So like that has to be, at least to me, if I were to suggest to a new person things to look at, would be play really heavily into the complexes and allelics. Especially like now I think we're gonna see this in the next year, the Krypton cryptic
yeah,
clown. the crossover in that and the potential with those offspring is virtually endless. If you take a cryptic, full cryptic, het cryptic, both sides, visual cryptic, can't really tell from a cryptic, vice versa. But if you start combining that to a recessive where you can split both routes off the same offspring, and you can do that within complexes many times. Build your highways, your freeways, your parkways, all of these different allelic combos so that you absolutely do not have blank outcome, right? We're going to find more and more of that as we go on, I feel like, but it's a critical pivot point for people to kind of get a little bit ahead with not as much effort and expense. It's like you can get into these that split both ways and have a little bit wider variety with the same expense you'd have in going completely opposite ends of the spectrum, right?
I think the industry is going to get back to a point where people will only be buying beautiful animals, and
Eventually, right? Yeah. Yep.
a lot of those allelic combos, a lot of the supers that with genetic testing right now, it's the same amount of work to hit the allelic combos, the supers, that it is to hit a visual recessive. So another thing that isn't talked about a ton is head influences. There are insane head influences. I was here's a great example: Puzzle Clown.
Yes.
A lot of people, me included, don't think the base Puzzle Clown is very impressive. But if you hit a I've seen pastel spot nose puzzle het clown that
Fantastic.
turns it almost into a tri-stripe. So I think we're going to see a combo of people working not only allelics but supers, but also working projects to hit the hets, because some of the head influences just make ridiculously pretty looking animals.
Yeah.
Well, and it leads into that argument that's a classic argument. Is there a true recessive? Or are we just not seeing the visual cue of a single copy? Do you know what I mean? Like, is it really a recessive, or are we just not able to? Like, yeah, you can't pick that out. Maybe it's super slight, but it's just single copy versus super form. Do you know what I mean? Where when you see interactions like you're talking about, obviously the het is visually showing a reaction. Does that mean it's a recessive?
If it only does it in that combination, I would still say yes. But the fact that we have genetic testing, everything is essentially an incomplete. Recessives are an incomplete dominant behind it.
Right, they play as a het or a homo, regardless whether it's visual or not. Right, so
yeah.
Jamie back there.
God.
Man,
he is
somebody throw her a biscuit.
Right. That was hilarious.
So, yeah, I mean, it's all interesting conversation. And to see your viewpoint on it, I dig where you went. Everybody honestly knows you for the lab stuff, but it's cool to see that you dove into that like instantly and said, this is going to be my lane without a lot of prompting, right? You didn't get a lot of input from outside that said, pick your lane and just stick to it. Or am I wrong? Did you have a good mentor that kind of led you that way?
So when I got in, I've got an older brother who has run very super successful businesses, and he's always said, if you're gonna get into something, try to find a mentor that has done it a long time. So when I got in, I joined up a bunch of different Patreons. So I would join these Patreons, get as much knowledge as I could, and see who I jived with, see if there were any maybe long-term friendships I can make within the Patreons. And a lot of one of my biggest mentors actually Will from RCR. So I jumped into his Patreon when I was getting in and deciding that I wanted to spend some decent money on projects. He mentioned just that, hey, you've got these animals working in this project, why don't you dive in deeper? And I was like, I took that to heart. So I did have have some mentorship from Will, and a lot of local folks too, like going to shows and meeting people at local shows, seeing what they thought, picking their brains has been super helpful. Like the NorCal area is super densely packed with some powerhouse hitters. Like
Oh yeah.
we got um, Nick from Renown, we got Rich from Capital City, and we've got a lot of other really great breeders in the area. So just
Yeah.
getting to shows, meeting people, and getting to a level where you can communicate and just phone a friend essentially in the industry has been super helpful. But there have been times where you have to be really headstrong at some points.
Oh,
Like as you know, Lavender has, for a lack of a better term, taken a shit.
Well, it's gotten shit on. I don't know if it took a shit.
Monetarily,
It
yeah,
kind of got shit
absolutely,
on. Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and people are pulling away from
It's
that. You just got to brush it
Yeah,
off and know that you in your mind have an idea and you want to see it to fruition,
Yep.
and that's
Right.
essentially what's happened. Because I've more than on one occasion have said, "Why are you working Lav? Why do you have so much Enchi in the collection?" I'm like, Lavender and Enchi are made for each other.
Yes, they are.
And a lot of people don't say these things maliciously. It's
Right.
just
No.
they see it from, a lot of the time it's a clown. They're wearing clown glasses. So if a gene doesn't look fantastic in clown, they're like, why do you have it in the collection?
Well,
Leopard
if it just doesn't, if it doesn't fit their projects too. I mean, everybody gets biased to a point because it's like, well, I'm working on this stuff, and well, lavender doesn't work, so I don't care for it, right? But a lot of the genes, I mean, there's several that have kind of taken a dive like that, and then all of a sudden somebody pairs it up with something, and they're like, look at this, and all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying? Then all of a sudden it starts taking, hey,
Revives
maybe if
it.
it does it with that, yeah, maybe we'll try it with this too, and we've seen that with several genes, and I don't know, I personally, I think lavender is cool. I like it in several other pairings. Um, I am super anxious to see what you end up with, especially after this year, based on what you're saying. So that'll definitely be cool. I think it's gonna be some awesome animals,
Yeah.
as long as we hit odds.
Well, right. And let's stay away from that. But I do feel like what happens with that, when we talk about what's happening, the dynamics of a gene going hot and cold and hot and cold, in the short time, I mean, 2019, basically, we stepped in and started looking at this and watching things. That's not a lot of time to watch trends, but I
Right.
feel like there's this trend of like a breathing entity in this community where it breathes out, where it gets expanding into the public and people looking at the animal for their beauty and what it is. And then it breathes in as those people have gotten interested, and it gets down to breeders are getting picky and they just want their stuff. And then it breathes out again.
Yeah.
It goes out into the
Yeah.
public. It does this kind of expansion and contraction. And we can't get so serious because we do get deep into breeder to breeder conversations where you're definitely going to have bias. And you can't
Oh yeah.
really view things that way. Is it pretty? That's what's going to sell in the end. Doesn't matter if you like the gene or not. Joe Blow off the street is going to come over to your table when they see it from 3 blocks away and go, holy shit, that's pretty. Do you know what I mean? So it does this. It's like this weird, it's a natural breathing kind of a
If Joe Blow's not
analogy I would
buying it,
come.
it's not sustainable. That's the problem. I mean,
Short-term
breeders
dollars,
can't-
yes, but not sustainable. Agreed.
Right. The breeders we can't all support each other forever. There has to be, that stuff has to start going out, because at some point it comes to an end. So yeah, it's important to make the appealing looking snakes in the end.
Yeah. So stick with what you like because you like it. There's going to be 10,000 other people that do too. Kind of a deal.
And
Right?
it always comes back to yourself. So if the project that you fell in love with isn't doing as well from a breeder perspective, sales wise, it's because you haven't put in the work. And that comes down to not enough marketing, not putting it out there into the world, not
Yeah.
because if you're passionate about a project, it's sales. You feel that emanating from someone. So if the person that you walk across someone's table and they're gung ho on it's a popular gene right now, but lace. If someone is gung ho about lace and you walk by their table and you're like, wow, that's an amazing animal, you start talking to them, you feel that and you
Yeah.
want to invest with that person. And so
Right.
each project has their has the breeders that work the project and are the voice of that project. Like I got a pastel zebra from my buddy John at 121, and that thing in person is insane.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's the projects like that they've gotten it's like a gray area because we didn't know for the longest time if zebra and Mackenzie were the same thing. So
Right.
people are a little uncertain about the project. But if you are super adamant about working the project, and I'm faulty as well because I've stopped posting a lot of content on Instagram. I should be posting way more lavender on Instagram and YouTube and starting a channel. So I haven't done the best work marketing the project. But once crazy stuff starts hitting and the animals start marketing themselves, it becomes a little easier. But right now, I should be putting in the legwork that I was doing a year ago and marketing the project that way, because then you'll start to get customers that are like myself, fall in love with lavender, and all they want is lavender. So it comes
True.
down to the breeder not putting in the work, and that's where a lot of the complaints right now I'm seeing is, well, have you done everything? Are you vending each show every weekend that's in your local area? Are you jumping on lives to talk about projects that you're excited about? If the answer to those
Yeah.
is no, you don't have a leg to stand on and complain about.
Absolutely.
I mean,
And I agree with that 100%. And it does kind of come back to the same thing. Like if it's not forward facing to outside of the breeding community, you're doing yourself no service. Like we can completely encapsulate things in the breeding community to be its own market and try to keep that maintained. It's never going to. It has to branch outside of that. And if it doesn't, it's doomed from the start, right? So yeah, you're exactly right. It's you're gonna get back from it what you put into it and what your true feelings about it are. It's hard to fake that too. Like it's hard to be genuinely excited about something you don't like yourself. So why not do the project you like, right?
Yeah.
They're all the same value in the beginning. There's no difference in a spark, yellow belly, anything in that complex should all be the same base price. It's what you do with it and how genuinely you are invested in that and willing to put that out there, right?
I
So
I agree 110%.
yeah. So it's all valuable stuff, man. And it's good to see people with the same mindset. I dig that. So stand on that when we get to the hot seat. Are you ready to stand on that in the hot seat? All of this
Of course not. I'm
precognition
gonna
and
do
thoughts.
dance moves in the hot seat.
Okay.
Sweet.
All right. So it's just about that time. I just glance at the clock on occasion, and we're about the right time to get Jamie involved here. And I think you're probably ready. Jamie's definitely ready. We're gonna get some weird info from you, and then we'll come back and talk about what you're doing on the rodent side of things, if that's cool.
Sure.
Yeah? All right. Well, good luck in there, sir.
Thank you.
Wish you the best. Everybody seems to survive this somehow, but here we go.
It's time to play the game. It's time to play the game. Ha ha ha. Let's go.
Hello.
How are you, Jamie?
I'm good. I've been waiting months to throw you in the hot seat, Miggy.
Ooh.
All right. Are you ready to do a dance move or what?
Well, that was for your eyes only. I'm sorry.
Oh, man.
I know.
We'll convince you later. All right. We're going to start you off with a fishing question because I know you like fishing. Live bait or artificial lures?
Artificial lures all day.
Really?
Yeah.
That surprises me.
Really?
Yeah. We use live bait.
We have done. So I got new fishing buddies recently. We've been doing a lot of saltwater fishing.
Oh.
We got like 13-foot extra heavy rods, and for that stuff, it's definitely live bait. We're trying to catch like 14-foot shark stuff.
It's so cool. Every time you get a bite, it's exciting. It's just like when the baby snake crawls out of the egg. It's the same thing. It's the same feeling. Would you rather fish in a secluded lake or a bustling river?
That's a tough one. I think I'd do secluded lake.
Yeah.
Less pressure. If you don't hit a run at the right time, you're not.
SOL.
You're skunking. But if you go onto a lake and you're the first one there, you could throw little lures you throw everywhere. You go to Walmart, pick up a lure, and crush it. So secluded lake.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's so fun. Would you rather be audited by the IRS or have an unnecessary tooth extraction?
That's crazy you bring this up. I'm actually going to the dentist tomorrow. But definitely not looking. But I'll definitely take the IRS audit. We're good on taxes.
A road trip or a direct flight? I don't know about the air so much right now.
Are we taking flights this year, or are we?
How about last year?
Is the flight with family? Is the road trip with family?
Nope, it's just you all by yourself going to vend a show out of state.
To vend a show, I'm taking a road trip.
Okay.
I got to take the animals with me. Animal safety always comes first.
Okay. Do you prefer early morning or evening fishing?
Evening fishing.
Yeah.
I'm a terrible morning person.
Right, me too. Orange Dream or Cypress?
Cypress.
Yeah. Do you sneak treats into the movie theater or do you buy them there?
Oh, you don't even want to know. Like,
I want to know.
My lady go to the movies all the time, and I have her bring her biggest purse. And beforehand, we're always going to In-N-Out. We're grabbing like In-N-Out meals, putting them in the bags. We go to Pack and Save Safeway, our local grocery store. All the candy,
funny.
like we're stuffing as much junk food, and we're annoying too. We put the loudest stuff in there, so it'll be like bags of chips. So we're crinkling and making all the noise during the movie. So definitely stuff in.
Do you think that the workers know by the size of the purse that people do that?
110,000%.
Yeah,
like
probably.
I bet you they're sticking stuff in too.
Like, I'm sure they are. They're all like 16.
their discount there is only like 10%, so they're still like $42 for a thing of popcorn.
No shit. Okay, would you rather lose a leg or a hand?
I'll lose a leg.
Yeah.
I got a good buddy, Benny, Bionic Benny.
Oh yeah.
I think we'd be brothers
Benny's
if we both didn't have a leg. I think that'd be pretty cool.
All right. Do you read the book before or after you watch the movie?
After. Yeah.
Do you think that the book is usually better than the movie, or vice versa?
But I'm a terrible reader, so
You're like, I never read the book.
I know. I'm a god awful reader.
Comedy or action?
Comedy for sure. Yeah.
Would you rather? Yeah, that's so fun. Yeah. Except for when they put you in the spotlight and pick on you in front of everybody else.
When they do crowd work, they're like, "Oh, you guys dating?" Blah blah blah. You know.
And then you're like, "Oh God." Would you rather own a self-driving car or a car with a manual transmission?
A manual transmission.
Yeah.
We're in the process. We got a 1991 Toyota Tacoma with the manual transmission that we're fixing up.
Oh yeah.
So
that's fun. Yeah. Oh yeah. Would you rather be stuck on an island with only a fishing rod or a fully stocked camping kit?
That's tough. A camping kit. As much as I like fishing, I'm taking the camping kit because I could find stuff on the island to make a fishing rod with.
Exactly. Very good. What is your go-to restaurant?
I like Texas Roadhouse.
Texas
Yeah.
Roadhouse. Do the Texas Roadhouses by you let you throw the shells onto the floor?
Oh, absolutely.
Isn't that weird?
It's a
It's
bit,
like cool, but kind of gross at the same time.
I don't know. When you walk by and it's a little sticky, it's like, oh.
Yeah. Would you rather live in space or the bottom of the ocean?
They're both terrifying.
Yeah, right?
I think I would do the ocean because we know less about it.
Yeah.
I'd love to see like a 42-foot like giant squid.
And I heard there's cities under the ocean somewhere, right? Ancient cities. You could find one.
Can I breathe? In this scenario, are we able to breathe in space and under the water?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, yeah, the ocean for sure.
Yeah.
I'm dying in like 2 minutes, but
you got 30 seconds, is it? If you could be any animal for one day, what would you be?
That's an interesting one. Maybe a sloth.
You just want to sleep your day away?
Yeah, I'd like to see. I'd like to see how. Well, I mean, if they're moving so slow, does time move differently for them?
That's an interesting perspective.
Yeah,
I'd want to be a bird so I can see all the things I can see.
You're way more adventurous than.
I'm gonna be a sloth, okay? Oh, that's funny. They're cute. If you could hang out with any cartoon character, who would you pick?
Can I do anime?
Anything you want. Yep.
I
might not know who that is, but
there's a pirate on a show called One Piece. I'd hang out with Luffy. He's the captain of the ship. Yeah.
Is he funny?
He's this dude that like has at the beginning of the show he had like rubber power, and he's just like aimlessly like walking through and completing quests essentially, and he's always like super nice to the people that give him food, so just like hanging around be super fun traveling everywhere.
Yeah. I'll have to look Luffy up.
Yeah.
Would you rather be able to astral project or meet an ET?
Definitely meeting an ET.
Yeah?
Yeah. Come on.
Tell me why. Phone home. ET.
That's why.
That was so funny. If you could go back in time and talk to little Miguel, what would you tell him?
Get into snakes earlier.
Yeah.
And then don't let. I don't necessarily do this now, but don't let people sway you away from exactly what you want to do.
Yeah. Yep, that's a big one.
Stay headstrong.
Stay true to who you are.
Yeah.
Yep. What is your number one goal that you would like to accomplish this year?
Get out of debt. We got a little bit of debt in the household, and we're working for it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you don't say. Oh, the last question in the hot seat, because I know you're sweating over there. What do you want to be known for?
I want to be a positive light in the industry. Like I think I'm doing stuff the right way, working hard, staying persistent, getting to know people, helping people out where I can, really being someone that people in the industry can reach out to and get help from if they really need it. Just I'd like to contribute as much as I can to the industry because it's done so much for me, you know.
Yeah, it's a great industry. It really is. You're a positive person in it as well.
I appreciate that.
Appreciate you. You did awesome in the hot seat. It's always so much fun.
Your questions are always so funny.
Yeah, I try. John helps out a little bit, and he's like, I would take that one out.
All right, we got to put you in the hot seat. What's one of those questions you took out?
Oh, what did I take out, John? I took out, oh, I know one that I took out. The front. Do you prefer traveling in the front of the airplane or the back?
Well, in 2025, I prefer not traveling in the but um, this industry has taught me tremendous amounts of patience. So I prefer the back of the plane.
Yeah.
But I don't mind waiting for people to get up and get out, and then not
Yeah.
only are you closer to the bathrooms, I've
Yeah.
got a tiny bladder,
Yeah.
and if you're kind of funny, sometimes they give you extra treats on the plane if you're in the back.
Right? Because they're sitting right there. John and I always seem to get stuck like right by the wing. So you look out the window and it's like, wah. It's kind of weird, but
I think that flight to Daytona where we met at, I
yeah.
was I booked the last like available seat, and that flight was brutal. I got stuck in the back and I swear I think the person on my left was a bodybuilder, and then the person on the right probably should have had two seats.
Right? Oh man.
That entire flight, I'm like this, like leaning
right
onto my feet.
Oh, I hate that. My girlfriend and I went to Vegas once and I was in the middle and she was on my right, but the dude on my left, I don't know, he had the worst body odor and I had my nose like this, like the whole flight. It was terrible. But
I bet you he didn't smell like skunk.
not skunk. Like gross. Yeah, right. Yeah, it was bad. But that's it. That's all I got for you, Miggy. We're going to throw you back to the guys to talk about rats. Thank you to everybody who tuned in tonight. Don't forget to share, like, follow, and subscribe, please.
Hit that like button.
Yeah.
Hit that like button, says Miggy. Good job, man. You got that hot seat always cracks me up. And we do. I mean, Jamie does 90% of the hot seat, and then she'll be like, here's my list. Do you want to go through it? And I'm like, yeah, I guess it's fine. Whatever you wanted to ask them is fine, but we'll go through it, right? But she'll get to certain ones.
I know I watch these, your guys' family. Your mom, dad, they're the ones helping her out with the hot seat.
Right? I know. It's so funny, dude. But here's the thing about it, though. I think that actually is cool. And we see there's tons of shows out there, right? Wiz, what's good, man? Tons of shows out there. But I feel like a lot of it skips over the person. And that's like what everything in this to us. It's like, I want to know that person. I want to know what they're like. I want to know if this is funny to them or not. I want to know about the person because ultimately, are you going to buy from the guy selling Gucci handbags over here that you can't stand? Or the guy over here selling Gucci handbags that you love and this dude is hilarious? I'm going to go to the hilarious dude for the same handbag every time. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like we need more of that. Like, be you, be genuine, put out what you're going to put out. And just, that's important to me in this, especially when we're trying on this growth thing that we're all doing with Epic out there. With reach out programs, like if we want to grow reptiles as a genuine pet, like everyone should have a reptile of some sort in their home, like dogs and cats. We got to connect to the people. You're not going to do that by talking about genes and combos and, what are you making next year? You need to know that these people are friggin' awesome and this community is awesome. You know what I mean? Yep. I think that's the quickest route to all of us doing well.
Yeah.
So hot seat does that for me, and I dig it. I'm off my podium. Rats. You ready to talk about rats?
Absolutely.
All right. Jason, you got all kinds of rat questions because you have a rat building coming up. So what do you got for Miggy on the rat side?
I do. What do you recommend for rat room size? Go.
As big as you can go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's kind of the plan. We're like, let's just make it all rats. But I unfortunately I need room to get my side of the collection out of my house. It's it's bad. I was talking talking to Sammy. I want to say it was
My room.
Oh man.
uh,
Okay, we're gonna shift up the style of shit because Jamie can't behave herself, guys. We're gonna break. We're gonna break our normal progress, and here's what we're doing.
bring her on.
Yeah, Jamie, you're out here.
I'm like, what is she even talking about?
Hey,
I'll
if
be
you're gonna
quiet,
interrupt
I
the guest,
promise.
no, you won't. You're gonna participate. Here we
I
go.
want him to do his little dance.
It's your turn to do that dance you were talking about 2 seconds ago.
This is all I can do.
Okay, that's weak as hell. Moving on.
Well,
all right.
Well,
Jason has all of his collection in a bedroom, and it's so cramped. He definitely needs this facility.
Well, what do you?
Yeah.
You
when I go into
accomplish
feed, I just grab rats and spin.
What are your goals with the rodent facility you want? Is it just to feed your collection? Is it
hire employees?
So
no, so
okay, she's getting.
Yeah, I mean,
muted. Jamie's out of this. We're back to the original.
Yeah.
Sorry,
hey,
we're back to this. Jamie's out.
Take a cue from Chris. Chris had it down pat, throwing Jamie backstage over and over. Yeah. So, right now we are just shy of feeding the collection. So that, I mean, obviously that's the first goal, but I mean, realistically, we need to make rats and we need to be able to sell rats. There's such a demand for them. I mean, there's everybody we talk to is either somehow supplementing or probably buying straight across the board. And we're doing all ASFs. We take really good care of them. It's a quality feed. So I don't think there'd be any issue that way. It literally is having the space to actually get the production up where it needs to be. So I think I'm trying to remember what the square footage, maybe you remember, John. It's
for where we are versus where it's going.
Yeah. No, for where it's going. I want to say it's about
it's like a 28 by 24 roughly.
Okay.
It's a big square footage footprint, you know, for the ability now rack stacking in there obviously could change, but it's a fair amount of space considering that's like 3 times what we have now. Yeah. Just in floor space, not to mention like the footprint physically working out better for racks.
Yeah.
You know.
So mine are in the garage. So if I were to do it and just starting out, I would do a 40 by 20. You'll always want a longer building, and I think it's more efficient having a hallway style.
Airflow, everything, yeah.
So you can put enormous intake vents on one side of the building. You put them on a timer. They allow air in, and then you have exhaust fans on the other side of the building.
Makes sense.
That tunnel.
Yep.
So if you can do a longer building as opposed to a wider one, there's folks pumping out serious numbers of rodents in refrigeration containers.
Sure.
Yep.
Because
we looked at that actually.
They're hallways, yeah. So, and it's very conducive to the space needed because racks, as you know, work best when they're along a wall. So if you've got wall space, the more wall space that you have, the better it is. So, and then you just become constrained to height, whether you want to work on ladders or not. So I'm confined to. I have it written down. Hold on. It's it's only 400 square foot in the garage.
Okay.
So, and I've got it set up like a hallway, so I have that same exact airflow going through it. It becomes a wind tunnel in a sense. So,
yeah.
But with the 400 square foot, I'm pushing out about 2,400 babies a month, and that's because I've gone 9 high on my racks. So at 9 high, I run 1.5s. I've got 72 Norwegian colonies, and they're pumping out plenty of babies to not only feed the collection but sell excess like you're talking about.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Are you doing just Norwegian? Are you doing mice as well?
I've got mice as well. So for the babies, when breeding season kicks up, I just
Okay.
do one freedom breeder rack. So I've got 25 colonies of mice
Sure.
as well.
Nice.
Okay. And then your Norwegian racks, those are they purchased or built or
I actually got them from a guy that was supplying a lot of rodents in Southern California that ended up getting out of the business.
okay?
He built the racks himself, and they're just cement tubs. So
Got you.
they're too wide. So they're two rows of 9 high.
Okay.
So I'm only running 4 in there, and that's 72 colonies, and that's plenty.
Gotcha. I saw a video of you moving, so that must have been them moving some racks. I think
Mm-hmm.
you had like a U-Haul or something like that was
Yep.
moving racks in and
Yep.
out of there. Okay,
I
gotcha.
I
Yeah,
ended up
those were tall.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
and if you don't mind working on a ladder, the
yeah,
the the more that you can fit in that space, the better.
sure.
Especially if you're trying
Gotcha.
Makes
to
sense.
produce for sales.
Yep.
Have you
Okay.
looked at all at Frozen Todd doing anything for selling online, like bulk sales? Hey, I've got 20 racks of smalls. I've got 20 racks of, hoppers. Have you looked at that side of things at all to this point, or are you still kind of in that transition?
I have, but it's a very competitive market. So the that market is conducive to scale, and you're competing
Sure.
with a lot of companies that are bringing in rodents from outside the country on sea trains. So they're spending millions of dollars on importing rodents, and that's what you're competing with. So
Isn't that
I
crazy?
and,
Yeah.
and that there's I know of facilities in California that are 80,000 square feet that don't sell rodents online. They just do them at local shows. So
Wow.
Crazy.
to break into that market and be competitive, you have to be on a massive scale. So
Yeah.
the sweet spot that I found is local local shows,
Yeah.
and there's even huge competition in there because, like I said, there's 80,000 square foot facilities that you're competing with. These
Yeah.
facilities have employees. They've got buildings that put trays on conveyor belts. They've got machines that drop the bedding into the thing, so it's all automated and streamlined. So the doing it on a small scale to feed the collection and sell the excess to local breeders in the area, as long as
Mhm.
you can provide consistent sizes and you can fill orders every week, it has been the sweet spot for me because it's provided an opportunity to cut down on overhead
Yep.
costs, and the rodents that you end up selling pay for themselves. Because the end of
Nice.
the day, I don't necessarily want to be in the rodent breeding business. I want to be in the snake breeding business.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the
Right.
fact that you can produce excess rodents to help fill a need for other folks in the industry by providing high quality food for these rodents, like you said,
Hmm.
you monitor exactly what's going into these rats. You're monitoring exactly how often you're changing their water, how often you're changing their bedding, and you're willing to feed
Yep.
these animals to your collection. Other people are more than happy to buy them. So
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
as long
when you buy from somebody at that scale, you're not getting rats that have been sitting in a freezer for a year and a half. And I know for a fact. I mean, we buy all kinds of rats. I've gotten rats where I've looked at them and been like, "Yeah, these. I mean, these are not like even in
Yeah, you
within
go to warm them up and they're
6 months.
bald.
There's no way."
Like all the hair
Yeah.
falls off, and you're going, dude, this thing's
Yeah.
like, 2 years old. What's going
It's
on?
got freezer burn, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
Yeah.
So I agree
and
with you 100%.
it's really important. It's really important to try to get try to find the best rodent breeder in your area, and if you're looking to start doing it for yourself, try to get like try to learn from them. So we've got a really professional rodent breeder. He's in Southern California, but by going to shows, been able to connect with him, and his process on how he packages rodents. And keep in mind, he would essentially be a competitor, but he's second to none. He freezes them differently. He puts them on trays. He he takes that extra level of care. And by seeing that, and you see it by in the snake industry too. You go to shows and you see someone's display is just second to none. You want to
Yeah.
get on that level. So by finding
Right.
the best rodent breeders in your area that have the best presentation for frozen rodents will help you elevate your game to help emulate, and then you can build a connection with them. Like
Yep.
I'm looking to emulate what he's doing with his style, and because I'm on a smaller level and he's already got the clientele, I'm looking to wholesale to that breeder to sell excess. So it's all about building these connections by going to shows and finding exactly. You have to be really realistic about how much
Yeah.
demand you can fulfill, and if you're not the top of the top, well, you got to find other creative solutions to be able
Yep. And
to make money in the industry.
And to be honest, that's probably, at least for me, I guess we haven't really discussed that too in depth amongst us here. But for me, that's probably the biggest concern is what will we be able to fulfill? Because you can't go out there and advertise and not be able to fill any orders. So you really do have to have a plan and be able to take the excess that you got, have somewhere to go with them, until you get up to where, okay, now I have a real good feel for what the excess is consistently going to be. And what the other issue is, when you are smaller scale, it doesn't take a lot to really put a dip into what your capabilities are. I mean, you get a couple colonies that all of a sudden kind of tank out on you, and all of a sudden you're, well, sorry, I don't have stuff for you this week or this month or whatever. So it's definitely a concern. It's a little bit of a anxiety thing when it comes to actually doing it. So
That
definitely a good point.
I'd say if you're providing live, those are
Yeah.
there's two big things that turn customers away from you. Oh, that's pretty cool.
That was awesome.
That's the iPhone.
There's
Do
two
it again.
big
I think
things
it's peace.
that oh, my dog's under the desk. I'm sorry. There's two big things that turn people away. It's not having the order that they need, and just being inconsistent with sizing that you provide. If you
Yeah.
can nail down
Yeah.
consistent sizing on rodent orders, people will love you because they know that they order this size every time, and it's exactly what they're getting. And then, like I said, if you can't fill their order, they're going to go find someone else that can, and most likely continue to use them until
Yeah.
something happens with their collection.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So my workaround, or at least my mental workaround for this, is our local delivery service. So we have a thing called Speedy here, and I know different areas have that, like a delivery service that's literally tri-state. So it'll do Wisconsin, Illinois, and Minnesota. That's all they deliver to. So I would start, or at least my thought process was to start within those communities and say we can provide for Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Illinois. Here's what we have. You have a live inventory of what's frozen, ready to go. If we don't have it, don't buy it. It's not like you're counting on us for your supply, but at the same time, it's within that small range that you're kind of getting a really good feel for the process, right? I feel like that's how we get our toe in the water. I don't know if that's the answer. I feel like it's a good entry point for us to start very small scale, be able to provide what we have exactly on hand. If we don't, you can't order it. So it's not like this agreement to say, hey, I'm going to give you 60 a month at X rate. It's like you order it. You know what I mean? Like if you go order a tent and it's out of stock, you just don't order the tent. Kind of that scenario, but on a three-state scale to where you feel like you can get a grasp of how this has to go. Like, how can we level this up if we add full national 50 state, lower whatever 48 service and where would we have to be, it would give you a great feel for how that would have to work purely based on what's deliverable within that one day, right?
Yep.
Because it's literally next day with the Speedy. So it's a 3-state deal. They're going to be there the next day with whatever you hand them, extremely cheap. I mean, I'm talking like a box of rats for $10 to deliver a full box. You know what I mean? They're very reasonable, but it lets you get that starting point, if that makes any sense. And
Yeah.
and I don't know, another way to kind of delve into that without having the experience. Otherwise, it's a lot of question marks.
How much? How? Here's the question: how many would you prefer doing selling live, or would you prefer selling frozen? Is the question.
Frozen 100%.
Why?
Just for the I think there's a lot of different stigmas there, plus the availability at distance, right? So you freeze, you flash freeze, you get them on a tray, 20 at a count, get them frozen really well, and with just a simple ice pack, they're good for like 3-4 days. They're not going to thaw fully. You're not going to have an issue. And a lot of people, especially pet side, don't want that live. They get a lot of negative connotation to throwing it in there. Your animal gets bit, the interaction part of it. Not that you wouldn't supply live to local people that you can hand off and go, here's your 20 live, and they're good with it. But I think the general outlook out there as far as pet side is frozen thawed for the most part. And I just purely by numbers, not that it's right, wrong, and different, but I think that you're going to have a easier time with distance and all the different aspects involved there.
So looking into the thought process and expanding your guys's rodent breeding operation, it sounds like you guys have had a little trouble providing all the rodents needed to feed the collection. So I think it I feel like growing into the business instead of going into the business is a lot safer option.
Yeah.
And
Right.
dealing with live, I think the most sustainable option is dealing with live people that want live, so customers that want live and in
To
larger
start.
quantities, because
Okay.
the process behind freezing and packaging the rodent, it's almost twice, if not triple, the work.
Yeah,
Well,
And
it's a
that's
lot
what
of
we
work
currently do.
for
I mean,
sure.
we
do
currently
that
feed a lot
here.
of frozen, but
yeah,
Yeah.
so in an ideal world, if I had the perfect rodent business, it would be supplying 3 large breeders in like a 2-3 hour radius for live
just
rodent.
lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be ideal for sure.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But in terms of expanding the bit, I love the ideas of keeping a inventory management system, having customers go to your Shopify store, and you guys obviously have looked into the carrier situation, having quick packages dropped off next day. Brilliant. I don't think we have anything here in Cali that would do that, but that it's a fantastic idea. If you guys can stay on top of the tracking, stay on top of because the freezing, having made become good friends with the larger rodent supplier down here, it's an everyday thing. Every day,
Yep.
you've got to freeze them at night. You got to go in the next day, bag them up. So it's not just like a couple hours at night. It's morning and night. It's a very tedious process, but if you can handle, it's definitely very very beneficial to help reduce overhead costs in the business.
Yeah.
Good
So yeah.
advice.
So where are you going with yours, Miggy? What is the game plan? What's the outlook for your growth? You talked about you're gonna kind of try to expand some rodents and do some things. What's your plan? What are you gonna set up?
Next step is, like I said, I've done a lot of research in the area. I don't think that competing directly with these larger operations is beneficial because their economies of scale are much greater. So starting to wholesale to these larger operations is probably the next step. And once that freezing process and packaging process is down pat, because like I said, it's a very tedious process, and getting in there every day to do it, and to keeping meticulous inventory is definitely a learning process. Because right now, most of the customers I deal with are live, and so making that switch and um, freezing off and just having clear communications and expectations with the customer that you're looking to fulfill is very important, and that hasn't been ironed out yet. It's at the very infant stages of figuring out exactly what sizes they need the most of, and if I can get the packaging down properly, that's a huge revenue stream, wholesaling to larger clients. Because at this point in time, I'd much rather deal with one customer that's picking up 10,000 rodents than 10,000 customers.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. 100%.
And it helps with the basis because it covers all bases. You're learning the process. You're scaling. Once you get the biggest thing I've noticed with customers is they're fairly inconsistent, and especially in this market, because we have gone through a fairly significant downturn in the economy. So it's become exceedingly difficult for folks to feed their collection, especially if they're hobbyists. So having people that are consistent rodent customers are worth their weight in gold.
Yeah.
And so by eliminating the question and having rodents in grow out racks until they become larges just doesn't make sense for the bottom line. So having one customer that picks up even 5,000 rodents a month, say, that's hugely beneficial because you know that they will take this many.
Yep. Absolutely.
So just trying to iron out the frozen process. I know we talked about it a little bit in detail. Everything always takes much longer than you expect. Always.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, it's funny that we stood around that courtyard and pool and we talked about how the fuck are we going to freeze rodents and send them out. That's a weird conversation in a standard public, right? But no, there's one thing I had to highlight about like our interaction with you was immediately went to these little contingencies and the different things about what can you do to grow and what can we do to improve. And dude, we enjoyed that immensely. We've talked about it so many times since we came home. Like Miggy was so cool to hang out with, such a great guy.
Yep.
But
I appreciate
Super
it.
easy to talk to, knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Seriously, I mean, there's no judgment there. You're a good guy, man. I think you're achieving one of those hot seat questions.
Yes. So absolutely. On that note, we are going on 2 hours. Miggy, this is a long one for us. We don't go like over an hour and a half most of the time, but it's just too comfy.
Stop
yeah. We don't. We don't. But that means that Jamie comes back out. So
I'm
welcome back to
this
Jamieville. And we're going to switch these two.
This time. Let me stay, guys.
So, yeah. We move stuff around, and it's time to get some of that forge coin. We talked about it at the beginning of the show.
Yep.
And get a trivia question. Miggy, don't answer. I know you're going to be tempted, but it's probably about you or somehow revolved around you. Forge coin. Ooh, we've got not as many eyeballs as normal tonight, but we're going to do it. Who the heck filters in on the forge coin? Tonight we're going to find out.
Are you ready?
Yeah, absolutely. We're ready.
Trivia question. Ideal rat building size in Miggy's opinion.
Ooh, that was close to the end. I liked how you worked that.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, well done, lady. Oh, and I remember these dimensions right in my brain for whatever reason.
That's crazy. That's crazy because I forgot them.
No, I remember the exact dimension you said.
Well,
look at that, man.
This is it.
That was fast.
Holy Derek!
Nice job.
I can hear him chuckling down there in his shop. He's chuckling right now. He's like, I'm stacking this forge going. Congratulations, Derek. That is what you said, though, Miggy. 20 by
sure
40.
is.
He actually said 40 by 20.
Oh.
But
You
still,
take
So-
it back to
But-
Forge Coin and give
but-
it to the first person that says
20
20?
20 by 40 will work.
What?
same thing. Depends on
Yep.
which angle you look at it.
Same, but different.
Left eye, right eye.
It's the same but different.
So yeah, this is always a time where we thank you many, many, many times, Miggy, for coming out and hanging out with us and catching back up. But also want to open up an opportunity for you to shout out things that are coming up for you, shows, people you want to just thank for, hey, help, thanks for the help for the last month. Your personal shout outs, just get them out there, give your flowers away, and then we're going to get the heck out of here.
There's been a ton of good folks. I mean, everyone in like the RCR Patreon has been phenomenal. My buddy Rich at Capital City Balls, he just started up a Discord that's really active. If you're someone new, if you're someone new looking to get information, there's constant live chats in there. If you have a question about something, jump in, ask. You can hit up myself. You can hit up Rich at Capital City for an invite to that. I am starting to get Cypress on the West Coast. So Cypress has been one of those super difficult beddings to get on the West Coast.
Yep.
A lot of breeders on the East Coast that have access to it really, really like it. So I'll be getting 2 pallets of that. I think end of next week. So if you're on the West Coast and you want to try out some Cypress, you can hit me up on Instagram.
Nice.
It's probably the best form of reaching out. And if it goes well and a lot of people like the Cypress on the West Coast, we're going to continue to be importing it to the West Coast. So we'll have it at shows and have bedding that people actually want to use on the West Coast.
Nice.
Yeah,
and I will second that. Cypress. We swapped over to Cypress, and dude, I love Cypress. So we grew up kind of where Cypress is around, right? Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Louisiana, all those southern states. And it is an amazing bedding. Honestly, you can wet it. You can wet it down to where it's floating, and you see the zero mold, zero mildew, nothing. I mean, it absolutely resists all that. Cypress is awesome.
That's the biggest thing. Like, it's the things that I like doing in this industry is, if I've got a problem, and I've had huge issues with coco molding. If I'm running into an issue, other breeders are also running into the issue. So if I can figure out a way to bring those solutions and help other breeders out, I'm gonna try my darndest to figure out a solution to get stuff that other people want to use. So
absolutely.
We're gonna try. Yeah.
So badass shout outs. Thank you again, Miggy. Appreciate you, sir. We're gonna let people get the hell out of here. What time is it even? I don't even know. But next week we've got another guest coming up.
We have another guest.
Jamie?
It's Jen with TJ Hutch.
See how we do that? It's so streamlined and smooth. But anyways, we have another guest coming up next week. Miggy, thank you, sir, so much. Hang out for just a few minutes. We're going to BS for a little bit. We always do because we got to catch up. But finish out your week strong.
I just want to say huge thanks for having me on. It's always a blast talking to you guys. You guys are a wealth of knowledge and awesome people in the community. So I appreciate it a ton.
Thank you.
Awesome guys will take wealth of knowledge. We're going to discount. We're going to go ahead and throw it. But anyways, thank you, Miggy. That's super appreciated. Love you too, dude. We're going to see you in just a couple seconds, right? Run this.
Right.
Let's do the outro video next week, guys. What the fuck am I even mumbling about?
What are you
See you guys in a bit. Peace out, people.
Thanks.